Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the debrief. A little bit of a different start. We're all here. Sorry about the 1 minute lateness. It is what it is. We all live very busy lives. We're going extra early this week. Circumstances do prevail. But listen, it's quite nice. We've got a few things to look forward to tonight. Liverpool could lose the league, which I don't really know how I feel on that, to be quite honest with you. In fact, I don't really care. We're more bothered about things at the bottom of the table. But Forest are playing very, very interesting indeed. KG, come to you first, mate. How's it going?
Yeah, all good. Hope everyone's well.
Good stuff. Mr. David Brown?
A lot better now we're above that dotted line, but could be a different story next week. But for now, everything's all right.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get into your comments, guys. Keep them flowing in. Hannah Lucy's in the building, says, I've resigned myself to going down to anything other than that will just be a miracle considering the season we've had. Guys, as well as 107 of you in the building, make sure you're checking out Cage's channel, Brownie's Twitter, and of course, making sure you subscribe to this channel and make sure you're liking the video and getting your comments in. Of course, Gail's in the building. Hello, Gail. Lovely to see everyone. Hiya, Joe. Yeah, a few comments coming in. Willie's already said said Leeds 2, Brentford 1. I don't know if Willie knows that it is actually at Brentford, which might change your prediction slightly. Mark York says, hi, hope all well. Please find time to just say how good the technical skill was in Joffrey's assist. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get onto that.
Hey, Connor, look, Josh Pitts there with a very good question. Which
okay, I've not read this yet, Josh. So, will the debrief carry on through the championship? Just wondering, as there's usually not much viewing for championship football and the scheduling of it. Listen, Josh, I'm trying. Well, my headspace is there, mate, but I've not even thought about how I'm going to change the content. I've not even thought about it, and it is going to make things much more complicated. But I'm sure the debrief will remain. But yeah, content, as KG can attest, will become a lot more difficult. So yeah, basically we're all glory hunters. As soon as Leeds got to the Prem, we all jumped on YouTube. So is what it is. So let's get into it, shall we, chaps? Leeds United drawing at the weekend with Brighton. We always normally on the debrief, if you are new to the debrief, we go through the first half, second half, surmise our thoughts at the end, and come to some sort of rambling agreement or disagreement. So, KG, first half, mate, what were your thoughts on it? I mean, I'll tell you what we normally do, actually, mate, is touch on the lineup. Were you happy with it?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping to see Bamford in some capacity. I think I said that in my match preview, but when you didn't see him on the bench, I think it's pretty obvious he's done for the year. I can't see him coming back just for the Brentford game. I don't know if that's even possible at this point. But yeah, I mean, I say happy, but with what we have, pretty much, it was good to see Gelhardt get a start and stay on, as we saw in the dying minutes with the quality he's got. The right-hand side was a problem, but that's through our own problems with Luke Ayling being banned. Robin Koch did a sufficient job there in the second half more so. But yeah, lineup was okay, I guess.
Yeah, Brownie, your thoughts on the lineup? And Willie just shouting me out here. Connor, I saw you on YouTube before. Yeah, don't worry, mate. I've been here for a long time, mate.
Hey, listen, wait. I just want to say I was on podcast before I was on YouTube. Yeah. Please, everyone, I'm not an industry plant. Please.
Yeah, talking about everyone but Leeds. I know the
game. The lineup, it was pretty much all we had, wasn't it? With the injuries we've got and Bamford being out, it was pretty much that was the 11. So I just get him on the pitch in some formation. I actually thought I've given Rodrigo a lot of praise, but I thought that first half performance from Rodrigo was pretty bad. I thought he gave it away every time he got it, and the goal actually came from him giving it away. But what I will say on that is, and I actually thought defensively, second half more so, Firpo actually did all right defensively, but he just seemed so reluctant to go over the halfway line. And there were so many times where we were getting the ball in the middle of the pitch. Phillips as well was just waving him on, and for whatever reason, whether it's tactical, if it's instructions, just don't really seem to have that left-hand side anymore. And it was very showing in the first half for me. The less said about the first half, the better, because I think we could have been 3-0 down. Weirdly, I thought we set off like a house on fire. I thought, oh, okay. First 5 minutes, I thought, oof, we're going for it. We're at them. But then, yeah, there was a few chances for Brighton in that first half, and it just felt okay to get in at half time 1-0 and regroup. Second half was a completely different story for me. I felt we grew into the game. Yeah, I know Welbeck had that header in the 85th minute, which would have killed it, but I felt second half I'd have been a little bit disappointed coming away with nothing. I felt we just about did enough to get something from the game second half, personally. But yeah, going back to that first half, it was pretty much what we've come accustomed to over the last few months, over the season, really.
Did you get shades of when we beat Palace 1-0 at home, and Benteke somehow missed that header? Did you get like sort of Danny Welbeck vibes when he missed that header?
Yeah.
I could not believe that.
that second half, that's what I mean. It just felt like something was coming. I didn't feel like it was going to be that late. And weirdly, it felt like if we get one, we could probably have gone and got two. But it did feel like something was coming. But hey, look what happens when you put Raphinha out wide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which
definitely.
I'm sure we'll touch on that later on when we talk about the second half. But it just felt like the second half, Raphinha just reverted to hugging the touchline a little bit more, and we just seemed to get so much more joy.
Yeah, I think for me in that first half, it was pretty evident who the better technical side were. I think it was pretty evident the team with a style, with a framework, with a structure, with a very decent manager, and that's no sort of passing comment on Jesse Marsch. Well, the proof's going to be in the pudding, but Potter's obviously instilled a lot of his plans there. The players are playing to his system very well, and he's got very, very able players in there. And I thought Leeds was struggling to gain any real sort of territory and momentum. The quality on the ball in the first half was definitely lacking. And as Brownie's quite rightly said, KG, it did feel very similar to those games before. And if anything, I thought in that first half, we just touched on the first half here, Brighton were sort of a little bit wasteful.
Well, that's the story of it. I mean, I was speaking to a Brighton journalist while I was at the game, and I said to him, the thing that's missing from Brighton is a striker. Like, it's just an ongoing thing where they've got so much good build-up play, and you could see it as well. They were so fluid in their movement, whereas we were just like static, waiting for someone to give the ball to feet, and instead of making a move, except for Gohart and Raphinha, I would say, they were just moving around. Trossard was naturally a centre-back. He was being pulled into centre-back, and Trossard was being left. Cock would look over his shoulder at some points. But you could just see how fluid they were moving. Welbeck and was it McAllister? They were linking up really well. And you can see the difference in confidence and quality overall. And yeah, I mean, there was times, I mean, Brownie's mentioned Firpo, but yeah, I mean, I suppose the first half is like a completely separate game, because Firpo in that first half, there were times where Harrison was waiting for him to overlap. He was like, go, and Firpo just went, nah, and the crowd was like, ah. Yeah. But then he also played on Solly Marsch, who had a really good chance, by the way. He was the one that played him onside, but Marsch just put it wide. So that's what I mean. There was so many times where Brighton could have actually killed this game off completely. And I mean, their goal was a joke, wasn't it? I mean,
what scares me is we play this narrow, compact system and style. We've got that many bodies in the middle of the pitch, yet still seem to get played through. The amount of times Basuma and McAllister and that were just picking up the ball and just passing balls straight through the middle of us was scary. And I mean, you alluded to it, KG, where Koch was covering. There was one point it was a good job he was, because the tackle he made in the first half at the Kop end, unbelievable tackle. And again, it just came from a ball straight through the middle of us. Not a diagonal pass, but just straight through the heart of us. And to say we've got all our men in the middle of the pitch, I don't understand it. But yeah, that was another chance that they had, like Katie says, the Solly Marsch chance. That I don't know who it was going through the middle, where Koch made an unbelievable tackle. But like I say, the first half, it really could have been 2-3-0.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Second, I felt and this is really interesting because I want to get your boys' hot take on this as well. We saw it after the game when Jesse came out and said the boys didn't believe at halftime, and I just thought that was quite fascinating to look into, really, because then in the second half, Leeds looked a little bit more expansive. We looked a little bit more loose. We looked a little bit more brave. and we were obviously playing with a hell of a lot of width. And you do wonder in that changing room what went on and exactly what was said. Was it almost like, because it was evident in the first half, in my opinion, I don't know about you two, but Leeds were trying to play out from the back, which we've seen this season doesn't work. It never works. We seem to get caught out now every single time we do it, no matter what team it is, because we just can't do it effectively. The second half, we started to go long, and we were, as I've just alluded to, we were more expansive. And I just found it interesting what Jesse Marsch said after the game when he spoke about there not being a lot of belief and words having been said in the change room. I mean, KJ, are you sort of looking at that and thinking maybe the players have sort of turned around and gone, nah, we're just going to go free reign here and see what happens. Raphinha's just going to hug the touchline. We're going to play like we did, and we're just going to see what happens.
Well, that's it as well, because there was points in the first half. You mentioned going long. When they did go long, Melia went long. He went long to Gelhardt, who was being marked by Dunk. So it was pointless. Instead of like going over to maybe Rodrigo or Harrison, who may get a little bit more joy. Because on the floor, I would take Gelhardt around Dunk. I think he could do him on the floor, and he did. But in the air, I mean, it was just a mismatch. It was embarrassing just to see that ball keep going up to him. But you saw it as well when there was a breaking play, when Brighton had a player down. Phillips had some kind of instruction or something like that as he was drinking his drink, and he just threw the bottle down.
Well,
so you do wonder whether at halftime he just said, "You know what, guys, just play how you want to play. Yeah. Play how it worked for you before, and just see what you can do with it." You just wonder, don't you? Because there was a difference in play in the second half.
It's a great point, KJ. I was sat I was touching the tunnel right next to the dugout. And that breaking play, there was a lot of players came over for the drink. There was Phillips, Cooper, Click, Rodrigo, Raphinha. There was loads of them there. And I was staggered at how many of them just weren't listening.
Yeah.
There was only Liam Cooper who actually stood looking at Jesse Marsch, listening to him. Phillips slammed his bottle on the floor. Raphinha wasn't even looking in his direction. And it just looked like, and I felt so sorry for Jesse Marsch, because he's been thrown in with 12 games to go. We've said it time and time again. These players have been drilled to play a certain way, and he's been given a task that not many people would be able to change that system so quickly. And yeah, I saw the same thing, him just slamming the bottle on the floor, and it just thought, oh, okay. And then when he came out after the game saying there was no belief in the changing room, it was quite a telling thing to say in the press conference, because sat watching it, you can see that when he's talking to him as well. And like you say, that second half was a completely different game. Raphinha we haven't seen Raphinha on the touchline since Marsch has come, and he was stood over that way all the time, picking the ball up. We just need to get the Brentford game out of the way and just regroup in the summer, I think, so he can get his own ideas across.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I want to touch on right at the end. I just want to have a little bit of a discussion on that, your thoughts, and maybe we can get a little bit of, listen, it's not the end of the season, but it's coming around the corner, isn't it? And we've got a week to chat and stew on all this Leeds United stuff. So I think it's definitely an interesting conversation. I still, in the second half, as I was just alluding to there, I thought Leeds were much better. Obviously, 19 shots in the game, KG. I think it was 5 on target, but in comparison to other games when it has just been, I mean, the creativity, the threat has just been nothing short of embarrassing, to be quite honest with you. You at least saw in this game, Leeds curating some chances. And ironically, like we were just saying, a lot of them came in the second half, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, and this is how low the bar is. I mean, we was doing some stuff in the first half too. Mateus Click with that chance from that set piece from Raphinha, the corner. That was a good shot, and that was a really good save by Sanchez. I mean, I even looked at it on TV after. Excellent. They've got to give him credit for that. But yeah, I mean, it was the bar is so low that when we're getting past the halfway line, like, oh, this is good. This is good. I mean, and that's just dreadful, isn't it? It's when you really think about it, that is awful to say, but that's where we've been over the past couple of games. But yeah, the second half was much better. Kukurea, I mean, what a player, by the way. But him and Rafa having a really good battle down that side. Really good to see. I mean, you can just see both of those are levels above. Basuma too. I know he angered a bit of the Ellen Road crowd when he went down after the ball got hit on his knee. But that's the game, people. That's the game. You got to do that. But yeah, I mean, just the quality they had, and to get back in it how we did against that team. I say that team like Brighton and all that, but they're better than us. Yeah. So to do what we did, I thought was really good. The creation was good. Raphinha was creating. Gelhardt was getting stuck in when the ball was on the floor, and he was doing his thing. Harrison in his moments, again, moments with Harrison. Sometimes the guy just needs to look up though, and keep his shots down. I mean, there was twice where he just blasted it. It'd have been easier just to keep the ball down and give yourself a chance of getting it deflected off someone. Instead, he just skied it, and then he does his look up to the sky thing. you know that thing. But it was more positive. It was much more positive. And even towards the last minutes when we got our goal, I don't know if the belief was wavering, but even with everything that was going on, what people are saying, the crowd weren't being helpful. It obviously didn't matter because there was a lot of noise at all points, and we got our goal in the end.
Yeah, what was the experience like in terms of the atmosphere down there, Cage? Obviously, I know you made your way to Ellen Road at the weekend. Was it? I obviously, unfortunately, wasn't there, but I was hearing a lot of chants, this, that, and the other, and I mean, what was it? A hostile atmosphere when it was 1-0 down to Brighton? Was it sort of a lot of? It seemed quite impatient on the TV when you were looking at sort of Rodrigo giving the ball away and Firpo maybe doing a few bits wrong. I mean, what was the whole vibe down at the stadium like?
Yeah, I mean, because Rodrigo was losing the ball so much, when he actually made a simple pass to Firpo, he got cheered. The sarcastic cheer. Yeah, that was kind of rough. I mean, that was in the first half, I think. So, but yeah, when we was losing and then it was getting late into the game, there was the sack the board chance and there was the Bielsa chance before full time as well and everything else like that. When Jesse Marsch did that sub to bring on Strauch, which is kind of ironic in the end, isn't it? But but yeah, it was because I think people just at the point saw that we're losing 1-0. We weren't moving from 18th. The likelihood of getting something at Brentford is quite small. Yeah. So I think people were just looking at it like, wow, so this is how we're going to end the season like this and things like that. But not everyone was in agreement though, because when they were doing the sack the board chat, the cop end weren't interested in it. Not all of them, but a lot of them were just like booing it kind of thing.
Is that where you were sat, KG? Was it the cop?
No, I wasn't sitting now. I wasn't sitting there. I was sitting somewhere else.
Okay. Okay. No, you don't say no more.
Yeah, say no more. Say no more. Yeah. But overall, I mean, it didn't, when we talk about the players' mentality, they didn't use that as an excuse. They still went on. So we got to give them credit because we do criticize them when they're mentally weak, and they are. But they didn't let that stop them and say, oh, it's because the crowd turned and we just didn't feel we could get back into it. They did. They tried to the end. So we got to give them their props for that.
100%. A lot of people asking, where's Brownie gone? He's got some, I think it was something to do with he's got someone but basically coming around to help him fit something in his house. So he's just going to be, I think he said he's just going to be 5 or 10 minutes. So he will remain there. Don't worry, he'll be back. But yeah, no, I think it's interesting. I'm not 100% sure I agree. I get the frustration. I understand it. I grasp it. I mean, people seem frustrated on this channel pretty much 90% of the time. So I get it. But I do think that at the ground, in the sort of 20 to 25 minutes left, those sort of chants aren't that productive. No. I think there's a time and a place, isn't there, KG?
Do it after the game.
Yeah.
Do it after. They will still be there. There's been plenty of times to do it throughout the season. I've said it many times on here. You've had ample chances to get this right. Don't wait until the last game of the season. This isn't nothing new. This has been happening all season long. But when the team are trying to get a point just to get out of the bottom three, it's a point. It's not the 3 we wanted, but it's a point to get yourself out of that zone. Just do what you've been doing all season, literally doing all season, cheer them on. And then if it ends 1-0 at the end, then vent your frustrations as loud as you want, because I'm sure you'll get the whole stadium joining in at that point. It's just that it was just a small section of the crowd at that point. They must have been at the mic still, so it got picked up very loudly.
Yeah, Rodrigo's an interesting one, isn't he? I mean, we've touched on him a little bit, but it's, I mean, we're hoping for this sort of renaissance, weren't we, KG, when it came to Rodrigo? But I sort of was always a little bit skeptical, just purely on the basis that I've never really seen him put any consistency together, and I've sort of given him a lot of excuses, to be honest. He's injured, obviously he's picked up COVID as well. As well, he's had all these sort of things that have rocked him a little bit, but for me, nowhere near consistent enough for the money we paid. And unfortunately, you do have to put his price tag on him. It is the way of the world. We brought him from a club who not long before were playing in the Champions League. We bought him for a club record fee. He's technically gifted. You can tell that. And I don't think anybody in this Leeds team is able to do some of the things that he is able to do. Like, it almost reverts to Pablo-esque things. You know, he's able to get the ball and slide them through where other players just wouldn't be able to do that. They're not technically gifted enough.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. There's just no glittering of quality in that sort of position, which, you know, we can sub another player in for or whatever. I don't think Greenwood's anywhere near Rodrigo's level, but it is the consistency. It's once again the mentality, KG, and it's a big worry with this guy.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob has just put a great point there. The one time he played it straight away, it was beautiful. And that's it with him. He's a one-touch guy. When he has so many touches and has to and he overthinks it, man, it goes awfully wrong. Awfully wrong. And I think he just thinks he needs more time on the ball or wants more time on the ball than he's going to get, especially against a team like Brighton. It was never going to happen. And he found that out in the first half. So, I mean, yeah, it just hasn't worked out overall. We got to say, even with that beautiful patch of form that he had under Jesse Marsch when he first came in, that was really good to see. Unfortunately, we haven't seen enough of it. And you've got to go on totality. It hasn't worked out at all. And it wouldn't be, you know what? I think even he would probably prefer a move back to Spain. I think he'll probably use it's for my World Cup chances and everything else like that. But I think it would do everyone the best if he does probably leave, one of the many to leave in the summer.
Yeah, I just don't. I mean, for me, I can't ever see any sort of revitalization period under him. No matter where we go, because I think we need 8s. I think we need 10s, regardless of the division we're in. To be quite honest with you. So, I mean, what would you do with Rodrigo? I just think you've got to move on. You've got to cut your losses, and I think unfortunately, it's just the way the land lies. And for people who are saying he's the only fragment of quality we have in that position, KG, that opens up a whole new different debate, doesn't it?
Again, it goes back to recruitment, and it goes back to having only that one person in that spot, much like the Phillips spot, much like Meslier in goal, and so on, Bamford up front. It's on the board to make sure that there's variable options there. It's not about having 3 £30 million players. And I made this point yesterday because LUFC Data put out something interesting, and I can't even remember what it was now, but it's just in terms of recruitment. But not every player costs £20 million, £30 million to replace. It doesn't, you know, Veltman at Brighton has been brilliant for them. Costs 900,000 people. It's all about the talent ID. So you can get multiple players in multiple positions fighting for the spots. And that's another thing they've got to do, fight for spots. That's why there hasn't been enough of this season, because they've been so comfortable. And Rodrigo being the technical answer is, I mean, well, what's the question then? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's even when you look at teams in and around us, KG, when you look at Maxwell Cornet, brought him for 12 million. And what a big player he's been. What a massive player he has been for Burnley. The big moments. Everton sticks out for me with that cracking finish. And his goal return has been very, very good. So that is another piece of recruitment in and around us, which has done the business. And 13 million. I mean, it's a snip for what we've been paying, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even Cucurella as well. I know I've mentioned. I know someone on my channel says you're a big fan of Cucurella, aren't you? But I am. Yeah, I am, and I can see him probably taking that next step in the summer. So look out for that.
KG, it's interesting how our other target, when you look at Romain Perrault at Southampton, it's been sort of in and out as well. You know, they were the sort of two that we were looking at, Romain Perrault and obviously Junior Firpo. It was between those two, and he's really been in and out of that side. Obviously, Bertrand is the preferred player there, and it just shows, doesn't it, that even if Perrault had to come in, and obviously it's a very different setup, but you know, would that have worked?
Well, Bertrand's at Leicester, but it's Carl Walker-Peters that's gone to.
Sorry, Carl Walker-Peters.
Yeah. But that's it. But then that just shows you, though, doesn't it? Kind of why was it either Perrault or Firpo? Where's the other guys? Who else are we looking at, or who else is out there? And that again goes to recruitment, though.
Yeah, spot on. So Firpo in the game, KG, we touched on him a little bit. I thought he was actually pretty decent. He was all right. I thought in the first half, as you alluded to, he was getting absolutely ripped. And I think Graham Potter targeted that side, which any intelligent coach does. And I think Graham Potter is one of those coaches. I thought he was a little bit better. I think the good thing is when the onus isn't on defending with Junior Firpo, we're in a good spot. When the onus is on defending with Junior Firpo, we're in a very problematic spot.
Yeah, I mean, the left-hand side in the first half between him and Cooper, I mean, it was just that Brian were getting through us like we weren't even there. It was embarrassing. I know Llorente was at fault for the actual goal, but it was through the left-hand side. I mean, we had Robin Koch on the right drifting in, and it was only until they switched to play over to Trossard when he would actually go back over to the right. But our left-hand side was getting tortured in the first half. Second half, yes, he did get better. But this is the problem when I'm hearing that people saying Junior Firpo had a better game, etc., etc.
It's the standard.
That standard is too low. It's too low for me. I'm going to just say for me, I can only speak for myself. It's too low for me. When I'm seeing Cucurella do both things well for pretty much 90 minutes, and you're talking about moments for Firpo, and I mean literal moments, that's not good enough for me. I need better, and the team needs better. That's why we are where we are. The bar is so low with what people consider a good performance from these players. It's just not good enough.
Yeah. Brownie, just back in time for we're just discussing Junior Firpo and the expectation and the standard that Leeds fans have and the bar that we have when we're talking about him having a good performance. I thought it was a better performance for him, but I was saying to KG that when it comes to going forward, obviously he's a little bit better, and that comes back to his left wing back days for Real Betis and what Barcelona signed him for. But overall, it's not been a good one, has it, mate?
No, I mean the three of us had this conversation, I think, back in October time. I remember the whole Alioski Firpo debate. Everybody's had it all season. Look, listen, everybody wanted an improvement on Alioski, don't get me wrong. We all felt that we, on our shopping list, let's say, we all said a left back, centre mid. It was the same positions that we were all saying. But yeah, I think Kurji's right. The bar, for us to say that performance is better, I think that just shows that where the bar is for the left back. And I mean, quote me if I'm wrong, people in the comments, but I don't think he's got a goal or assist all season. I can't remember one. I can't remember a goal or an assist. I really can't. And he has missed games through injury, which is probably a good job because he's a walking yellow card as well. I dread to think how many yellow cards he's got.
11.
Yeah, he got one quite late in this one, like 70 minutes.
Yeah.
As well.
I mean, 15 yellow cards is a 3-match ban. So with his injury record and his yellow, you know what I mean?
I think we were just talking about Cucurella there, which is really interesting because I was having a look at him earlier for just piece I was looking at, and Cucurella has actually played 34 games, so he's pretty much played every single game for Brighton, and he's picked up 5 yellow cards in his first season. Junior Firpo's played obviously much less than 34 games, and he's picked up 11 cards. It's staggering, isn't it?
It is, and I always look at defenders and yellow cards as positional. If you're out of position a lot, you're going to get more yellow cards. That's how I look at defenders personally.
Yeah, his positional awareness is nothing short of horrific.
Lately, the way we play, our fullbacks are going to get exposed. They're gonna pick up yellow cards.
Yeah,
because we just play that narrow that the fullback positions are exposed. But let's not get away from this. He was picking up yellow cards in the other system as well. It isn't just a new thing that he's just started picking up yellow cards. Good knowledge in the comments. The 2 assists, I can't think of them. I genuinely can't. But okay, 2 assists.
I think one was the knock on against Arsenal, Brownie. You know, when Llorente was at the back post to stick it in 2-1. I think that was an assist.
Right. Okay.
I think the other one was for Harrison, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah. But this is what I mean, though. We're clutching at.
It's not a good return, is it?
We're clutching at when it was and where it was in the season, and if you can compare that to the previous left back, it's not a compare in that department alone. There's no comparison, but I just think they play completely different. The amount of times that you'd see Alioski, look, I don't want to go down the Alioski rabbit hole again. We all needed another left back, but even on the right hand side, for example, the amount of times you'd see that full back arriving late at the back stick, and we just haven't had that from him.
Yeah, Louis said assisted Rodrigo's cross against Scum. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Right, so that's one of them. Okay, to move away from Alioski, take the Brentford, the goal at the weekend, Rico Henry. We don't see that from Firpo, getting in the box at the back stick. We don't see anything like that from him. It's very conservative and in our own half. Don't get me wrong. A lot of our players are in our own half these days, but you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, for that sort of stuff, Brownie, you need some sort of system, I think, which I don't really know what that is. Yeah, I think in the game as well. Mick Cage, you just mentioned it there. I think with Jack Harrison, and you lot will be quite surprised at this, but I actually thought he played a little bit better. But once again, this is the whole thing I go back to when we're talking about Junior Firpo. Where is the bar? Where is the bar? So I thought he was a little bit better. I saw him talking a little bit more, and then in the second half, I guess he sort of tried to take the game by the scruff of the neck. But for me, it was all on Raphinha. Raphinha is just for people to give this guy grief. And you know, the ironic thing is with a lot of Leeds fans at the minute, it's almost criticise Raphinha, but then let's say effort goes ahead of that. You know what I mean? So the creativity, the individual ingenuity that this guy brings, it doesn't really mean anything, even though the quality on the ball is unbelievable that Rafa brings. And yeah, he might have dropped off a little bit, but he still is that player for us. He is that player for us. And players like Dan James, who just get sort of leeway because of the effort and how much they run around, it's bizarre to me. It's absolutely bizarre.
We saw it again with Raphinha, didn't we, second half? Play him in his position, hug the touchline, get out players. And we saw that from him. And listen, I don't buy into this question in his effort or work rate myself. When the ball's going into the family stand and we've got numpties keeping hold of the ball, and he's the one going to get it. He's the one wanting the game to carry on. Constantly, game after game, he's the one trying to go and get the ball off, get things going, get the game going again. And
I've never understood. I just cannot. There's never a logistical reason that I can be like, you know what, I'll rethink that. Yeah, I can see that from Raphinha. Every single game, I see grit, I see heart, desire, I see passion, him shouting at teammates, and I see quality as well. I see quality, and look what he's got around him. Look what he's got around him.
Well, I've said that a few times. I mean, he's gone from Brazil, where he's linking up with Neymar, when everybody's going, oh, look what he does for Brazil. Well, yeah, he's playing with Neymar. And then he I can remember the next game, he was passing it inside to Tyler Roberts. Look, this isn't a knock on Tyler Roberts, but that is the level difference. And this season, he's had what? He's had Jamie Shackleton trying to overlap him. He's had Luke Ayling try to overlap him.
Brown, I don't even know if I think you've been quite kind there, mate, when you're talking about overlaps. I think I've seen about 3 all season.
I did say trying. Trying to overlap. But yeah, without him, we're in that bottom 3.
Oh, we'd be down. And also in the first half as well, he was chasing things down and making Brighton have to take throw-ins in deep inside in their own half. That's because he was chasing it down. So he's doing all of that mucky work that Leeds fans love to see. But he's the one that was also fashioning out chances. Yes, the corners weren't hitting past the first man, and which is very frustrating. But he also had one where if Click had scored, that would have been a really good set piece. But he was creating chances from open play, which is what a lot of people don't do in our team.
I think there's question and fingers to point at other players that people won't like to hear the names of before it gets to Raphinha, in my opinion.
Mate, miles ahead. And
there's one or two experienced figures, let's say, that have been miles off it recently.
But get nowhere near the same criticism because Leeds fans know that Raphinha is going to be leaving.
It's easy to criticize someone when you know they're going, because it just makes it easy for yourself once they've gone, and you can say, well, he didn't do nothing for us anyway, when that's just not true.
In my opinion, I've not seen a person down tools. No. When we're talking about Raphinha, I've not seen him down tools. If someone's not bothered, they're not chasing after the ball and getting the ball back in play. They're like, oh, whatever.
But Brownie as well, to preserve his move, like everyone's talking about potential, which might happen to Barcelona, he's probably going down. He's probably asking to be subbed. That's what he's going to be doing in these final games, so he doesn't pick up an injury for the World Cup or his tenure at Barcelona. So he's not going to want to jeopardize that move. And I never see that. I see him putting everything into the cause. Everything.
And when we got the last minute equaliser, by the way, he was telling people to come out and restart the game because he thought we could win it.
Look at the Chelsea game. The Chelsea game was the complete opposite to that, Connor. He was injured. He'd got treatment. He wanted to stay on the pitch. There was only about 10 minutes left. The game was done. He wanted to stay on the pitch, and he was annoyed that it was the right thing for Jesse Marsch to do. The game was done, and he was struggling with an injury. Get him off. I was saying, get him off the pitch. He didn't want to come off. Do you know what I mean? If someone's not that bothered, you're just thinking, like, yeah, come on, off we come.
Yeah, he's, for me, I don't know. He's the standout at the minute. He's almost putting in captain performances. that that might be a bold claim, but that's how I feel at the minute. I feel like he's literally the number one at everything at the minute. And I'm not just talking about the quality on the ball. I'm talking about the quality of the individual off the ball as well. Just
to throw this in the mix as well. When against Chelsea, even though we were down, he was the one talking to the players when there was a break in play.
He was,
he was the one that was trying to get everyone up, trying to tell people where to go, where to give him the ball, etc.
KG, can I also say he wasn't one of the ones who was going up to the Chelsea players and doing that and talking, and the Chelsea players were then responding and going like that. You know, he wasn't that. He was trying to get the troops on, on song and trying to get them into a little bit of a groove. But yeah, I just thought we had to touch on that because it's I think it's unfair, some of the flack, and he was getting flack again at the weekend, which and then you get certain other wingers who get no flack whatsoever, which I always find interesting.
I just think on Raphinha to finish in games, he's the man we're looking for to pull something out of the hat. Time and time again, he's the one we're constantly looking at. Go on, Raphinha, do something for us. And yeah, the start of the season was unbelievable, and last season was unbelievable. And yeah, there has been a little bit of a drop off, but I think there's been a drop off with everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Benjo said, Rafa's been in every ref's ear every time we lose a decision, chased every ball, ran his arse off every minute of every game. Yeah. And sometimes he's lacked a little bit of quality. He has in the past sort of definitely 8 to 10 games, but then we're playing a completely different system. I know we're playing to his strengths. I don't know. That's another question.
I still go back to January with Raphinha, and I really genuinely believe him and Deco thought they were going to get in some new recruits. I genuinely believe that because it was after that window closed where his form really started to, dip in a very noticeable way. I genuinely believe he thought that they were going to bring in some better players around him. That's
and then there's something in that, KG, because not only was there a drop off in that little period, that's when the noises of the Barcelona then started.
Yeah.
And with all respect, we all love Leeds, of course we do. We want Leeds to keep these best players, but if you're a Brazilian international and you're not seeing anybody come to the club when you need help.
Yeah,
he doesn't owe Leeds anything. Nobody owes Leeds anything. If he came to Leeds, he was sold the dream. He was probably sold the same dream that Radrizzani's given us, that we'll be in Europe in 3 years. He'll have been given that vision, and he'd have probably seen that last year. When finishing 9th, you'd have probably thought, okay, yeah, maybe there's something here, and we've just not kicked on with it. Not in a million years have we kicked on with it. And you're right, KG, there could be something in that January transfer window. Him and his agent have thought, well, what is the plan? I mean, us as fans, everybody in the comments, we're all bewildered with that January transfer window. So if that's us, imagine a Brazilian international. He's going to be thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah. I
think it's good to move on to Jesse a little bit, and there's been a lot going on social media of the blame game and all this sort of stuff. And I want to touch on that a little bit because it's been going on the Twitter sphere and just on the online sphere, and we've got another week till Leeds play again, obviously, so there's a bit to touch on. But I think what I saw at the weekend, and Brownie mentioned it when we're talking about the midfield. The midfield for me is still a huge problem, and this is what I don't really understand. Now, we watch Liverpool and Man City every week, don't we? And we see that they play a high line. Now, they play a high line because they high press onto the opposition's back line. The problem I have with Jesse Marsch is he talks about these pressing units. And this is when I'm talking on style and framework and seeing something which I've not seen as of yet. So we're looking to the front 5 pressing the action. He also wants a physical, combative, but risk-averse back line. So basically, he wants the back line to drop deep. So you've literally then got pressing actions, and then you've got a back line that drops deep, which leaves an absolute gulf in the middle of the pitch, which is why Basuma was getting so much joy. It's why Xhaka got so much joy, and it's why Kovacic got so much joy. This isn't difficult to do. This isn't difficult, in my opinion, to be able to implement this. And this is when I'm talking about a system and a style. This is just an example of where Leeds are still getting hurt. I mean, KG, when you look at having an aggressive press, surely the back line, the team has to press up and be aggressive and be brave with the front line.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you, but I look at those players, I'm just being honest, I look at them, I don't know if they've got the capabilities to do it. I don't think, and there's not a lot of speed in that back line either. When you talk about Liverpool, Man City, you talk about Robertson covering, you're talking about Trent covering, you talk about Carl Walker covering those kind of high lines. Who, for us, it would have been Brownie's guy, Alioski. He could have probably done the covering. But other than that, who's going to be the quick person to go back when it's already difficult for these guys to defend already their own box?
I thought it was. I thought so, obviously where I was at the weekend watching the game, right next to the dugout. I found it fascinating because with that press, and I love this, and I've said this from day one with Marsch, he's bellowing orders all the time. I saw it at the Leicester game. It was animated, and I like it. He is the person who's telling us not to go. He was, whenever they had the ball at the back, you could hear the crowd going, "Come on, waving the players on." He was stood there with his hands, and he was setting them where they wanted him. It was like an orchestra. It was like what the conductor at an orchestra. He was stood there, and he was making them, and I liked it because that's what he believes in. That's his philosophy. But that is why the players weren't pressing, because he was making sure that we were setting our lines. So that is an instruction that's come from him. Defensively,
Brownie, I have to disagree with Cage. So I do think we've got a pretty quick back line. We've got a mobile back line. Junior Firpo, Junior Firpo acts as was a left wing back for Real Betis. He was bombing up and down. That's why Bielsa brought him in initially.
Connor, that's Real Betis, and this is now with all these injuries later. We're talking about someone that's rarely played. He's hardly played much football. And we've seen how he moves. He doesn't look the most mobile to me. That's just my opinion, though.
Well, I think his recovery rate is pretty decent. I think Llorente, if you look, we're not talking about wingers here. We're not talking about fullbacks or strikers. We're talking recovery rates when you're on the back foot as a centre back. I think, Pascal Strout's been playing left wing back at points this season. I know it's down to personnel. I understand that. But on the overlap, I don't think he looks slow. Llorente, I think, on the turn isn't that slow. And then Luke Ayling at right back or Jamie Shackleton at right back, whoever. I don't think it's a stuck in the mud, slow back line. My only point is, I think when you commit to this system, KG, when you commit to a front line pressing, a front unit pressing, which is what Southampton do under Ralph Hasenhüttl, I don't think they've got the most mobile centre backs when you look at Bednarek and others in that back line as well. I think you've got to commit to that press.
Mobile.
So Salisu is mobile. Yeah. Credit, 100%. He is very mobile and he's quick as well, definitely. But all I'm trying to say is don't play that style then. Don't play that style. If you're going to commit 5 going forward, don't then leave 5 at the back and leave an absolute chasm in the middle of the pitch because teams are benefiting from it.
And that's fair. That's a fair point to make. But that's what I'm trying to say in regards to the players that we've currently got. I mean, listen, Mateus Click on the weekend, he had a good pass to Gelhardt when he screwed a shot early on. He had a good shot himself. But when you're asking Mateus Click in the midfield these days, man, it's like having no one there. Seriously, he's a ghost. Like, he literally doesn't do anything. I
thought Click were better than Phillips at the weekend, if I'm being totally honest.
I think we've got to call a spade sometimes with Phillips. I do, and I think sometimes we get a little bit of preferential treatment to his quality.
And again, on this show, we mentioned this. I think it was you, Connor, who brought it up, and it was a great point you made up. We ain't playing with wide men. You saw Phillips do that diag that went straight through to the keeper. He hadn't played a diag for about 3 months because we're playing that narrow. His game is that range of passing, switching balls out. He loves to do it. I remember seeing a video from the Burnley game last year when we won 4-0. There was a clip of Phillips doing that like half volley out wide, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I know which one you mean.
We're not set up to do that. So that it just completely nullifies Phillips' range of passing. The only pass Phillips has got now is a 10-yard pass, and I'm sorry, but of late he's been struggling to make a 10-yard pass.
Well, I mean, he did
Rodrigo, all of them in there. They've just not been able to pass water. Is that because there's too many bodies? I don't know.
Phillips was putting through more passes, especially when he was hitting Raph on the wing. He was able to get them out there. But what I'm saying in terms of Click, apart from those 2 instances, the guy was just nowhere to be seen, and that's also a problem in terms of playing a high line. Who are you relying on to go back? Someone there mentioned Rudiger as a centre back speed. Again, I think it's going outside the Leeds bubble and realizing that some of these players are just very limited.
Well, don't play the system then. Don't play the system then. It doesn't make sense.
Another thing I'll throw in: how deep are we? Because it seems every week someone gets in behind us.
It was
Yeah, I mean,
happening a lot in the first half.
I guess you can be deep, but it doesn't mean you've got a set of good defenders.
Well, listen, you talk about. Sorry, Connor, you mentioned Firpo,
Yeah.
and I don't want to pick on him because I hate when we zero in on one person. But when he played Marsch on side, he didn't get anywhere near him. And when Welbeck went through against Llorente, where was Firpo? You're talking about recovery speed. If that was someone like Carl Walker, I know we're talking two different classes of players here, but he would be back there. And that's what I'm saying. We just don't have that personnel where we can have people pushing up. Whether it's Luke Ayling as well, Luke Ayling is not quick at all.
Which is where it annoys me a lot, because not just Firpo, both sides, these players are getting in behind us, but these players aren't bombing forward. They're not giving us anything at the top end of the pitch. So bare minimum, they should be in the right position at the back.
Yeah.
So we kind of lost all our impetus with our fullbacks bombing for. Like, it's a completely different level of football. Like, I completely get that. But even last year we saw it. But in the Championship, how many times was Ayling in the box, cutting balls back, playing balls? He was constantly in the other half of the pitch. And he was last year. Whereas this year, even under Bielsa, we seem to see our fullbacks just scared to death to go over the halfway line. There was a complete shift this season from our fullbacks going forward and not. And like you say, KG, these players, when the players are getting in behind them, are nowhere to be seen. Well, why are they nowhere to be seen? Because they're not going forward.
Yeah, I guess the caveat to that is obviously when players are getting in behind. If you're playing a high line, then you have to have an effective offside trap as well. That has to be said, of course, but that needs to be trained into a team, and I understand that. But I just don't. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about system and a framework. I don't understand what he's trying to do, and I don't understand why that second half was just a free-for-all all of a sudden, when in the first half they sort of followed a similar pattern, us playing out from the back, us getting caught, but us doing bits that we have done in the past couple of games. In the second half, look, I know we're desperate for points, but
I think that's what it was.
Listen, all I'm saying is I'm just long-term, and I want to get into this as well, long-term, I'm just a little bit worried about this guy. I will say that I am a little bit. The warning signs are well and truly on for me at the minute.
The second half was very much. It felt like last chance saloon to get anything. It really felt like that. It just felt like we had to get something from the game. Listen, I didn't particularly like the comment in the presser. I've said from day one, he talks a lot, but to say a point's okay. I mean, in the end, it might end up being okay, that point. But by word, Brighton at home is a chance to go. And it looked like we set off like that. That first few minutes, it really felt like 3 points today is what we want. Yeah. But then we just sat back into our passive way of playing. But listen, hopefully the point in the end is enough. Hopefully Burnley can't win 2 games of football, or lose 2 games of football, and we stay up. And then you're right, Connor, the conversations in the summer are, what are we trying to achieve here?
Yeah, and I don't want to come across as cynical with it and pessimistic and not giving him a chance. I feel like I know he's not got his personnel, but all I'm asking for is just some of the principles that he's brought over from the RB network, which was supposed to be, a compact block, counter pressing to create chances and protecting the center of the field. Like that's what we were sold. These are the things that we're sold. And I'm sorry, but these are not difficult things to implement straight away. They're not. These are really dead simple.
We saw it at Leicester.
Implement. But I think but all I want to say there, Brownie, is I understand the quality. I get it. I understand he needs his and this is a further question. I understand that he needs his players. I understand that he needs time. I get that. But just aspects of what he's done before, I think we should be at least seeing something, and I don't think we are at the minute. That's all I want to say on it, and I just think I have to be transparent on here. That's all.
And Connor, we're just with that as well, and I do agree with that, because there's things that I've questioned him in some of my videos, just some of the choices he's making personnel wise. I mean, thank God Dan James was suspended. Otherwise, we'd never had Gerhardt up front in the game. That's another point as well. But then I look at it from his point of view. I will give him, just so it's balanced, and say, well, who's this Shabazz in this team? You know what I mean? Who are his technicians who are playing for him in this team? And he's probably going, God damn, I can't do anything with these guys. So I understand it's all a knock-on effect. If you have better central midfielders, you can probably trust your defenders a bit more. And maybe they don't have to be so deep. If Raphinha's got better players around him, his numbers are up. Everything has got a knock-on effect in this team, and it's just not there. The quality,
which is a great point, and it's probably why he wanted the job in the summer.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I said that.
He openly said, "I told the board to do this in the summer." If he doesn't believe in the players that are there, that's probably why he said it.
Yeah.
Yeah. UU, I2, I4U. There you go. That's a name for you. If your club doesn't have money to buy from Europe, at least buy the best in the Championship to improve overall quality. Yeah, 100%. I'm sure we'll get more onto that in the end of the season, mate. Keep getting your comments flooded in, everybody. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation this week, definitely. And there's been a lot levelled at the board, obviously, this week, and this, that, and the other. In Cage, you were just talking about what was going on, Brownie, in terms of at the game and all this sort of stuff. But I want to, we've been touching on it a little bit then, and I think it's a good thing for us to touch on when it comes to Jesse Marsch. Are you, regardless of what happens, I think it's the right thing to say, because then we're talking about relevancy. It's what's going on right now. Regardless of what happens, are you willing to give Jesse Marsch, from a fan's perspective, KG, another shot into the summer and next season? What are your just thoughts in general, mate? From what you've seen now, I know you can't give a full ultimatum right now, but just in general, would you be happy, whatever happens, with Jesse Marsch coming into next season?
Listen, this is a very broad question, because it depends if we stay up or go down. You're asking,
does it?
I'll jump in.
Some people will.
Hello, are you there?
I'll jump in. Okay, if Cage's lost connection, I personally haven't enjoyed. one of his games.
No,
not one. I'm thinking of these games, and I think the best one we've had was Leicester away. I know we got beat, but it looked exciting. The way he set us up, I thought, oh, okay, this looks quite good. This a bit of a 4-2-4. But since then, it's been pretty bleak. I mean, the Villa game at home was awful. The Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, it is what it is. You can't really judge him on them games. The Bielsa, we got taught a lesson in them one with him as well. Palace away. I mean, I got 3 trains to go to Palace to see 2 shots on target. One of them was a corner a header from Liam Cooper. It hasn't been exciting and exhilarating, but like we said just then, he needs a pre-season to implement his ideas and his own players. He said himself he wanted the job in the summer, so maybe we should have read something into that he didn't really believe in the players that were there. He's been hampered with red cards. He's been hampered with injuries. I've not liked some of the things he said either. Like the whole thing on TalkSport about the injuries are down to the previous training regimes. Well, hang on a minute, mate. Since you've said that, we've got 4 players out for the season. It's a difficult one, because we're used to seeing this flowing, attractive football, and he's been more pragmatic. I guess you can't just get rid of him after 12 games. I think that'd be unfair. So I guess we'd have to stick with it and see what he implements. But if it was to start the same way with his own players, then I think a lot more people would be asking questions. End of the day, he came in to keep us in the Premier League, and if he does that, it's job done.
Because for me, mate, and this isn't me coming from a certain standpoint, I think you're right in what you say. I just want to pick up on a couple of things that you've just said. So the next step, let's say whatever happens, and this is why I wanted to talk generally, because I think whatever happens, even if he keeps us up, people are going to question it. People are definitely going to question it. And I think that the questions will get a bit lower because we've stayed up, and a little bit quieter because we've stayed up, but there will be people in the background definitely questioning what they've seen so far. Now, a lot of people in the comment section below are saying the squad isn't good enough. That's correct. The squad is not good enough. It needs a total rebuild, whatever happens. I completely agree. The problem is you are going to have to rebuild into his system, okay? So that's essentially, if we're going by design, if we're going by what we've seen before, that's stripping back all the wingers. That's probably getting rid of a lot of players who fit the Marcelo Bielsa system in terms of sort of possession-based system. We might be looking at more attackers with a little bit more physicality. We're going to be rebuilding the side and catering it toward Jesse Marsch. So my question is, mate, if it didn't work in the first sort of 10 games of next season, whatever the outcome is, even if we're in the Championship or the Premier League, you've then got players who fit one system and fit one style. Would that concern you a little bit?
Yes, because of what we're seeing now. We've got players for Bielsa style, haven't we? We've got players finely tuned for Bielsa style, and it's been a bit of a ball ache trying to transition them to a different way of playing.
Yeah.
We've seen Eddie Howe go into Newcastle, and he bought players wisely in January. I mean, me myself, we laughed a little bit with the players they signed, but they've been good signings. They've been exactly what they needed. So I'd be more comfortable giving him a chance in the Premier League than I would be in the Championship.
I agree.
I think, and that's nothing to do with going down. I just think the Championship's a completely different beast and a different level of player. He's got to have a chance. He's signed a contract, but I think looking back with hindsight, there's definitely a lot to be said with him not wanting the job till the summer. I think in heart of hearts, he knew himself that he didn't have the players to do what he wanted to do, which was maybe why we saw at Leicester in his first game. It not really changed too much. It did feel like a basketball game, but it did have a little bit more control to it. I'd have been a lot more happier seeing that till the end of the season than what we've seen. Listen, he's out of the relegation zone at the minute, and we all want him to keep us up. That was his job. So if he does it, he does it. You're right, though. He's going to be signing players.
Sorry, Potato Wi-Fi's back. Here he is. We have problems. We have problems on this, don't we? I've had problems. Brownie's had problems. KG now. We need to get a group Wi-Fi.
I've just tapped into your two Wi-Fi, I think. So I've been sound of the pound.
Oh, but yeah, it is an interest. I don't know if you caught any of that, KG.
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Rodrigo is too slow to be effective in the Premier League, says Anglo. We were just saying, mate, when it comes to Rodrigo, and obviously I'll put the question, Jesse Marsch, I'll put the question to you as well. I think me and you have spoken about it several times, to be quite honest. But when it comes to a system thing and Leeds getting into the summer, and that's why I asked you, even if Leeds stay up, would you keep Jesse Marsch in the Premier League? Because that is still a conversation that has to be had. The Red Bull network is a very, very unique network. He's not had to build squads by himself before, which he's going to have to do in the summer. He's had a direct. Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's here. No, he's here.
Playing hide and seek.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all I was saying, KG, is he's had a director of football to do that for him. He's been a coach. I mean, the example was Brendan Aronson. He said that before. He said Brendan Aronson was brought in. I knew nothing about it, from Philadelphia Union. So what I was saying to Brownie is, you're going to have to bring a whole group of players in who are going to have to fit his system. He doesn't play width. So wingers, rumours like Jack Harrison going to Tottenham will probably become a lot more prevalent. Crescencio Somerville potentially leaving the club as well. I don't know if Dan James is going to be deployed as more of a forward role, but Raphinha is obviously going to be leaving as well. And you then look to bring in 8s and number 10s. So my question is, KG, when that does happen and Leeds potentially go into next, listen, it could be brilliant. It could flourish straight away. But on the other side of things, I think the more drastic thing is, if that doesn't work and you do get rid of Jesse Marsch after 8 to 10 games, you then have to look at another Red Bull manager, surely.
Well, and first of all, I have paid my bills. It's just a little Wi-Fi issue that I've had. I don't know what's going on. The gremlins have got me. What can I say? But in terms of Jesse Marsch, well, the thing is, it does depend, though, doesn't it? Because you see, like a player like Dan James, I would love Dan James in the Championship, because he would absolutely do what he did before, again, while he was playing for Swansea in the Champ. I'm confident of that. But in terms of Jesse and getting his own players, because you're right, it will be a completely different system. We're talking about pure central based players. Do I trust him after what we've seen so far? I have my doubts when it's taken a suspension, a couple of suspensions for him to rejig the team and put in some players that haven't been able to play before and continue with the bad players. That's what it is for me at the moment. It's in regards to team selection, because guaranteed, if Dan James wasn't suspended, he'd have been up front against Brighton. It's not even like it would be a debate. He's done it too many times now. So, do I trust him? From what he did before, I'm going by what he had before. I do, because I think he did okay with the players that he did before. He had reasonable spells at those Red Bull clubs. But how much money is this going to take? And do we have that kind of money? So that's where you have to look at it as well from the Leeds side, where they say, Jesse, you're going to have to work with quite a few of these players. I hope they don't say that, but look at what's happened over this past year. And if they're going to say you need to work with a lot of these players again, plus we'll get you 3 or 4, I don't know if I don't think he's going to settle for that.
And this is the biggest problem of all and biggest question that comes out of that. When he took over, the board said it would be a seamless transition. It couldn't be any different. And I said that on the last video. He doesn't play with wingers. We've got about 15 wingers at the club. How is that seamless?
But Brownie, you've also gone from a style with Marcelo Bielsa, which is very possession-y. He doesn't like possession. He likes a counter press. So Leeds don't like. So that's why it's very, very unique, his style and that Red Bull style. So you look at any other examples in the Premier League, there's one, and that's Southampton with Hasenhüttl. Now we are being fed this European dream. Southampton have a better side than Leeds. This is if we stay in the Premier League, of course. Southampton have a better side than us. They take a lot of hide-ins, don't they? A lot of hide-ins in the Premier League, but they also get a lot of success at spells as well. But they've never managed to break that European bracket. They've never really consistently been in the top 10. So if you're looking at blueprint, Southampton, Hasenhüttl, there's an argument that he's a much better manager than Jesse Marsch and has a much better squad. So if you're looking at that, is that what the aim would be if we stayed in the Premier League?
Well, I hope not, because Southampton featured heavily on the last video, if you remember, because they are only 5 points above us. So the phrase "a lot of success," I wouldn't call their season successful this year, to be honest. Southampton's, and I don't know if you ask Southampton fans, are they happy with what they've got? Because I don't think they will be Southampton fans this season.
And also, in terms of the possession-based football and him doing the counter, that's been a problem for a lot of these players, because they, with all due respect, a lot of them are not thinkers. So when they've got too much time on the ball, you've seen it. They don't know how to pass to each other, or they're unable to pass to each other. They don't know how to make the runs. I mean, just asking for a bit of movement sometimes is tough for some of these guys. But when they were doing that one-touch thing, when they all had the energy, when they were all listening to Bielsa's tune, it was magic. But the magic wore off, and now we're seeing exactly what they are.
I think when he left, I think I tweeted it.
Brownie, I'll just comment on you as well. He was talking about, Brownie just mentioned the championship there, and I think I think I'd actually have much more time for it if we stayed in the Premier League. I think in the championship, you look at the clubs who've gone up over there, and if we're looking to bounce back straight away, it's all possession-based styles. Newcastle, Brighton, Wolves, Norwich, Sheffield United, Leeds, West Brom, Watford, Brentford, and Villa and Huddersfield. And you look this season, it's Forest, it's Huddersfield, potentially, whatever, and Fulham. There's another one that's gone up. That's just lost. Bournemouth. Yeah, they're all very possession-based. They're not long ball sides who play a counter press. So, yeah, a lot to think about, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and Johnny, be good there. It isn't Marsch's fault the players can't make 5-yard passes. It absolutely isn't his fault. And that's what I'm talking about. It's the quality of the player.
And that's what I tweeted out at the time of Bielsa getting sacked. It was a championship squad with a genius in charge, and now it's just a championship squad, and Marsch is having to do the best he can with it. Take Phillips and Raphinha out of that squad. There's nothing there. But I mean, on the flip side, though, and I mean, we started the conversation with the chants at the weekend about the board and everything. I said it in January. I think I've said it every month. Bamford's been out, barring 30-minute cameo against Wolves and a little bit against Brentford, since Newcastle away. That was September.
I know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How are you meant to stay in the Premier League with no number 9? I mean, I was looking at our top scorers. Diego Llorente is in the top 5.
Yeah.
And it's a shambles. And the board got the brunt of it at the weekend. I was a bit. I mean, the board have got to take a lot of it, but I'd love to know, because it doesn't feel like Radrizzani is really in charge of it anymore. He's the funk figure, but hand on heart, he was the one on the video saying about him sacking, but it just doesn't feel like they are making the decisions. It felt very much like San Francisco 49ers were the decision makers. I might have got that completely wrong. That's just my opinion. Did I agree with the chance? I felt... Listen, I'm blaming the board for a lot of this season. I really am. But I'd really like to know who's the top figure making the decisions, because I think it's them that needs the brunt of it. And I think Radrizzani... It's hard because we were out of the league for 16 years, and his leadership got us back in there. There's been a lot of bad. There's been a sprinkling of good. But I just felt it'd be nice at the end of the season for a lot of answers to come out regarding the transfer situation. Was it Bielsa that didn't want players? Who was the one who wanted Bielsa out? Who didn't want the players to come in? It'd be really nice to have... I don't think we'll ever get it, but it'd be really nice to have a bit of transparency and some proper answers, because, I mean, whoever's decision it was to not sign a striker, I think needs to take a lot of the blame.
Yeah, I mean, there is that with the striker thing and many other positions. But at the same time, we've also had two coaches that have had Gelhardt in their pocket all season long. And you just think with how rusty, I'll say rusty his first half was in terms of snatching at shots and not getting his passes quite right. If he had a bit of a more run that he deserved, by the way, that I have been calling for pretty much all season while Bamford's been out, then we'd probably be in a little better position. I'm not saying we'd be 9th, 10th, but I think we'd have a couple more points on the board. And I do take in that game against Newcastle at home. I remember saying, with the way Newcastle are, all we need is a striker up front and we'll finish Newcastle off. And yet he didn't play. It's been like that all season, and that's between two coaches. That's both Bielsa and Marsch.
I've come away from a lot of games. I love Gelhardt. I think he'd be an absolute star. I really do. I have come away from a lot of games questioning him. Is he ready to start every game?
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I saw him at Fulham.
I think it's very momenty, isn't it? When we're talking about build up, I can understand in a sense, and I agree with you, KG. He is that moment of magic. But when we look at the system, I do think he slows it down a little bit. I do think he's not got those sort of.
There's an element of what KG said.
I understand, because listen, he's a moments player, and we saw it at the weekend. It was a perfect Gelhardt performance, wasn't it? At the weekend, it was what we've seen from Gelhardt so far. There wasn't anything untoward what we saw. It was an all right performance from him, nothing special, and then something completely special at the end. But we've also seen games when Gelhardt's played and. But it's been a bit insignificant, hasn't it? But I understand there with another caveat that he's not been given enough time and he's not been able to build in the system. But I know what you mean, Brownie. I think it's the overall game from him there still needs developing. Of course, he's only a kid.
But then I would say to that in response to that is, you know me, I'm not a big stats guy, but when he started, he's got pretty good numbers. And also in that, we've played more players that have been stinking in form, not doing anything good, than what he's been able to do at the business end of the pitch. Now, instead of keep on bringing on Tyler Roberts and all these other guys when they're ineffective off the bench, and I'm talking about Bielsa here early in the season, he could have done it with Gelhardt. When he was bigging up Gelhardt, when he was saying, how about that ovation that Gelhardt always gets? Oh, it's great to have him get these ovations. And then he doesn't even play him. So what I'm saying is, if we had more moments from him through the season, which is what the Premier League is, you can be anonymous for 80 minutes and then someone comes up with a bit of magic. That's what happens. Not everyone has a constant 90 game of just weaving their one like a Kevin De Bruyne, and not everyone's like that. But we would have had. I'm pretty certain we would have had more goals if he had started more games.
I completely get that.
But then surely on that premise, like what you're saying as well, the substitute appearance has sort of been perfect for him, or potentially being given more substitute appearances, because toward the end of the game, he's going to come up with a moment. That substitute appearance, instead of him starting the game.
But that's what I'm saying. But we haven't seen that through the season. And when I was saying this earlier this season, people were telling me that he's too young. Everyone's all of a sudden like a babysitter these days with players' ages and stuff. The guy's 20 now. Like, that's not young today. This is when players start to do their thing. There's people at Arsenal questioning Ketia because he's 22 and not done it. this is how it is now. The younger, they're just ready if they're good enough. And for me, yes, you were always going to get the quiet moments with Go Hart. You're not going to get a goal assist per game from a youngster. It's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah.
But I think with more games under his belt this season, and deservedly so, we would be in a bit of better position. But that's not just on his position. That's across the board in this team.
Yeah,
I completely get what Cage is saying with regards to like the likes of James, Roberts, Rodrigo stinking out the joint time after time. But that's why I felt like we needed another striker. We needed another prominent figurehead to come in, because I completely hear what Cage is saying about the rustiness. The more games you play, the more match sharpness you get completely. And this is not an age thing. I just feel like the majority of his good moments have come from him coming off the bench. I think back to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. I think back to the Wolves game at home. He came on and absolutely ripped Wolves defence to pieces. The Norwich game, he came on and scored. I just feel like he's been that massive impact in the last half an hour, whereas the first... I can't think of many games he's had in the first half where he's dazzled, if that's the right way to put it.
Yeah, and once again, it comes down to recruitment, doesn't it?
Yeah, and again, there's many other players in our team that get consistent starts that don't dazzle at any point in the game. Yeah. So he started this one, and in the 90 plus something minute, he's got the composure and skill to do that over Lewis Dunk, who had his number in the air all game long, and he comes up with that to set up the goal. That's
unbelievable. And that's what I mean. His moments are coming in the latter stages of the games, and I'm not saying don't play him. I just felt like, I mean, it'd have been a dream to see him playing alongside Bamford. It really would, because them long balls that are going up to him getting gobbled up by Dunk, it's then a Bamford taking the heat off him and he's playing around him. That'd have been a dream scenario. So maybe it's not play Gelder. It's more of a case of, I just felt like we've gone a full Premier League campaign without a number 9.
I think in any other system he'd be unbelievable. I don't know whether or not in this Jesse Marsch system, and obviously consequently.
Would you call Gelhardt a number 9? Do you know what I mean?
No.
Like a Kane, a Shearer. I know they're few and far between these days. A Benzema, a Bamford. I'm not saying Benzema and Bamford are the same level. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that.
I think he would.
That focal point at the front of at the top of the pitch. I'm not sure that.
I think we've all said he's almost like a narrow forward, isn't he? He's like an inverted forward. We've all said it from the left and from the right. He's decent.
But another thing he does as well, what a lot of our players do, and it's underrated, is he actually tries to shoot. Yeah, if he sees the goal, he's gonna try and hit the target. Which a lot of them, there was plenty of opportunities as well where Harrison or someone could have had a shot. They decide to make that other pass. He'll just look to lace it through.
He was having a bit of influence. He was having a bit of influence because I think I saw Matthias Klick have his first shot in about 4 years the other day.
Yeah, exactly.
On the flip side to what I've just said, though, he could have had a goal in the first side 90 seconds if Cooper wasn't stood on the line. So it's all ifs and buts. But I just felt, personally, we needed another striker in.
We definitely did.
I just love the hammer that Cooper got. Not that comment. The hammer that Cooper got for that. If it wasn't for Cooper, he would have scored. As if Cooper could have done anything.
Yeah. Listen, you guys know I'm not Cooper's biggest fan, but that can happen to absolutely anybody. It just so happens that we're Leeds. It happens to us.
It was a great header.
He's getting hammered, wasn't he? He's getting absolutely hammered.
Yeah, he was getting murdered, yeah. I think people thought I was going to murder him, but that can literally happen to anybody, man.
Yeah. Should we move on to the running, lads? I feel like we've avoided it for an hour and 30 minutes. So obviously this week, it is a huge week for Leeds United. And obviously, I just want to get where your thoughts are, lads. I know we're all doing numbers in our heads. I'm not sleeping. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sleeping. I think my calorie intake has gone down. I'll be honest. It is just, I'm so nervous this week. But I mean, this week is huge for Leeds. We'll know where we are obviously next week. How do you see it? Brownie, I can see you're eager. How do you see it playing out, mate?
I think Burnley lose both games.
There it is.
I was more confident. I don't
know what I was thinking. I knew you'd say that.
After watching Newcastle last night, Callum Wilson been back.
True.
KG made a really good point about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They ain't on the beach. They're at a club now where they can really go places. And I think every one of them Newcastle players wants to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Newcastle will be on the beach. My only concern, and I hope Guy McAllister doesn't let Steven Gerrard do this.
I know what you're going to say here. I know what you're going to say.
But they
It's in
play
my
Man
head
City
too.
away 3 days later. And
Surely not. Surely not.
I don't want to see a Steven Gerrard putting all his eggs in to try and get Liverpool the title. I want to see a strong Aston Villa team on Thursday night.
Do you think he'll actually rotate? Do you think he'll actually rotate though, Steven Gerrard? Like obviously the starting 11, because obviously with City coming up 3 days later, there is an argument that he might not put, obviously a bad team out, but he might rotate 2 of the big names.
I think he will. Yeah, I think he will. Yeah. So I'm sure he's not. But if Guy McAllister does manage to listen to this, get Steven Gerrard in a headlock and make sure that he puts out his full 11.
God. I mean, yeah, Buendia had fun against them last time when they benched Coutinho, so they do have strength in depth.
Yeah. So there's a lot of confidence from that game 10 days ago, when they went to Turf Moor and no pun intended, they absolutely turfed them up. It could have been 5. They really did teach them a lesson. So I'm hoping, probably more than anything, that they get beat on Thursday night and they then get beat by Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a hell of a deal. What if both of us just lose all our games for the rest of the week and call it a season?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Which I can see happening.
Yeah, I mean, so can I. I literally can see that scenario happening too, but I would love it. I would hate that we've lost, but I would love it. The fact that
Crystal Palace. I mean, I know we kept a clean sheet with them somehow the other week, but they've got some dangerous players on the counter. And it'd be a very counter-attacking side for Palace at Goodison on Thursday night. So my only reservation is the fact that, and I don't even know why this has been allowed to happen, that they're playing 3 days before the end of the season. These games should have been slotted in way before now. At this point, everybody should have played the same amount of games, in my opinion. And that's not me talking with a Leeds United head on or hat on. I can't believe that at this stage of the season, we've still got a case where teams have got games in hand.
I mean, if we were a bit smarter and not so, good boy scout, we'd probably have a game around a Thursday too, but we decided to play kids and everyone else against Arsenal. But
to be fair, KG, we did. When we played that Palace game, we then ended up with a game in hand again on Burnley. I mean, how they... What was it? They had 4 games in hand on us at one point.
This is why. This is why I remember the debrief when we did this, and we were talking about their congested period, and then we did the debrief after, and it was like, oh well, they've gone on to win 3 out of 4 games.
But it's worked in their hands, because you now look at Villa. They could quite easily rest play. They could. If this was a Saturday 3 o'clock, they'd play a strong 11.
Yeah, they would.
But now they've got a game 3 days later.
They took Ings off early again in the last game, so I'll assume he starts. And it's funny, some people saying there that the Premier League's fixed and that's why the games are like this and it's going to the last game. But listen, just a quick funny story. On Saturday, this gentleman and his lady, obviously they had lots of money. They said, "Where's the referee?" And I said, "Why have you got your checkbook?" Laughing, and he laughed too. And then the guy I was with said, "Hey, that was the president, that was the chairman of the Premier League." I went, "Oh no."
Bloody hell.
I know. Oh my days, I didn't know. But yeah, in regards to Burnley,
did he show you a yellow card?
Huh?
Did he show you a yellow card?
No. But I did see one ref, the 4th official. You know, Rob Jones, the one that looks like Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
And yeah, I said that to him. He says that's nicer than some of the things that get called here. But in regards to Burnley Villa. Now, we've just got to, you know what it is? It's all hope in what I'm saying here. We've got to hope that Villa want to finish strong for Steven Gerrard at home, the fans, and send off with a good home win to finish off the season there. That's what I'm hoping for. But the thing is with Villa, they draw so many games, and the draw for us is it's a nightmare, isn't it? So
yeah, I think if Burnley get anything on Thursday night, I think... my whole optimism completely shifts. If Burnley get anything Thursday night, I am really concerned. Because I don't see anything other than us getting beat at Brentford. Even though I'm
going
going to
prediction now.
I'm going to predict a draw, KG, so that's going to go completely out the window. But I just think if they then go above us, I think us going into the bottom 3 into the last day is a massive worry for me psychologically.
Well, it's. I mean, we've spoken about the fragile mentality as well, but let's look at how well Brentford are doing. Brentford are like 3rd in the form table. They're behind Man City and Liverpool. Like, they are flying at the minute.
I
They're
saw
absolutely
something today
flying.
that really worried me, that Brentford haven't conceded a goal at home in 5 games.
Oh, God. 0-0 then. 0-0.
I take it.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's,
What do you think, Connor? You seem to have dodged this question.
I actually got sent something from a guy on Instagram called Gil, who's a big fan of the channel, and it's a scenario where I could actually, you know, it's the ones where Leeds are staying up or Leeds are going down. It's 2 scenarios, and he's put on here his first scenario is his lad Joel, who he won't mind me shouting out. He said Everton 2, Palace 3, so they get obviously no points. He reckons Villa are going to beat Burnley 2-0, and he reckons Brentford 1, Leeds 1, which would obviously send Burnley down. And his dad, Gil, has said that he thinks Leeds will go down. He thinks it'll be Everton 2, Palace 1, Villa 0, Burnley 0, Brentford 2, Leeds 1. So 2 scenarios. And the reason I mentioned Gil there is because both of those scenarios, I can see happening. You know, yeah. I really can see happening.
Like the flick of a coin, isn't it? It could really go either way. Coming out of the ground, my brother said to me, whose position would you rather be in? And I said ours, because we had that extra point. And I still stand by that. That point could be huge.
Yeah.
It really could, because it is quite conceivable that Burnley get beat by Villa and Newcastle. It's not out of the realms of possibility. But it's just the fact that they could quite possibly only need 1 point in them 2 games. That's the worry. Which is why, yes, on the Brighton game was... I just felt it was a missed opportunity. 3 points. You'd have had Everton and Burnley both below us. It was
it'd been huge.
Oh.
Do you want to do some score predictions for the week?
Go on then, let's roll.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just quickly as well. I mean, it was so weird last week. I said it on my channel, but I'll say it here too. But we was literally supporting Tottenham last week. We needed them to beat Arsenal to stay in the top 4 race, and then we needed them to beat Burnley Sunday. Like, we are relying on so many teams. Like, it's not just a 38-game season for us, because we're looking at everyone else's result, going, please lose. It's awful, man, isn't it? It's just so
If
bad.
we were to win at Brentford, I think Everton are in big trouble.
Yeah, 100%. Everton will be in trouble, but I just see that us winning at Brentford is just...
Well, it's weird, isn't it, that we're going to Brentford, because we had all the Easter weekend back in the Championship where we could see Pablo Hernandez crying at Griffin Park down at Brentford, and Brentford was we still have got demons to rest there. And then we fast forward a year, and it was the game after the disaster at Nottingham Forest where we then headed to Brentford, and it was like, oh my word, we're going to get absolutely turned over. And we saw a massive shift, and we put in a proper good performance, which then kick-started us back to coming up. So it's quite ironic that we head to Brentford again with so much riding on it. It seems every time we go to Brentford, there's something on the game.
Yeah, it does. KG, Villa Burnley.
I'm going to go with a 2-0 Villa.
That's weird that I was thinking the same thing, 2-0 Villa.
2-0 Villa. I will go 2-1 Villa.
Yes, come on!
Burnley Newcastle.
What? How Everton out of it?
No, we're on about we can do Everton's if you want.
You want Southampton's too, or?
No,
I'm joking.
Southampton. KG. Little sliding.
They would have still been in it if we'd have been Brighton.
KG, Burnley Newcastle.
Honestly, I'm gonna go. This is with my heart here. Honestly, no. This is not.
Can you mix the two? Can you mix the two? Your heart and your head somehow.
No. You know what? I do think Newcastle are gonna win. No. You know what? I think Newcastle will. Yeah, I do. I think they're gonna win. I'm gonna say 2-1 Newcastle.
Wow.
And you know why as well? Not only are Newcastle playing for stuff, but Eddie Howe was managing there too, so he'll have something to prove too. They've got a few players there, Trippier and somebody else, Chris Wood. I'm sure he would love to get on the score sheet. So yeah, let's go, man. 2-1 Newcastle.
Yeah, we just before we start. Initially, I was more confident at Villa, but I'm actually way more confident that Newcastle are going to get something at Burnley. Way more than Villa are against Burnley.
I can understand that. Yeah.
Brownie, Burnley, Newcastle.
1-1.
1-1. I'm also going to go with shit. No, I've got to think about this. What am I thinking here? Oh God, I've got heart and head as well, KG. I've got heart and head.
Bruno Guimaraes to net one. Maximum.
Keep going on about the Newcastle team. It'll convince me.
Callum Wilson, hungry for
David
a goal before the season signs. Oh God.
Tino Asprilla, Alan Shearer. Come on, Tsunami.
Right. I know what scenario's coming here. So I'm going with Burnley 1, Newcastle 1. I agree with Brownie.
I can, like KG says though, I can see. It's a weird one, this one, because I can see Newcastle.
KG knows what's coming.
I can see Newcastle running riot with the players they've got. I really can see Newcastle running riot, but I'm going 1-1.
Right. So at this moment in time, KG has got 0 points for Burnley. Brownie's got 1 point for Burnley, and I've got 1 point for Burnley. So we go into the final game, which is Brentford versus Leeds. KG.
Yeah, let Brownie go first.
Okay, Brownie.
1-1.
Do you want me to go and then we can go to KG?
Yeah, go ahead.
2-1 Brentford.
You've got us going down then, haven't you?
Yep.
Which, while Cage is thinking, leads me on to a funny story.
Is it about you saying goal difference doesn't matter?
No. It leads on to Neil Maupay.
Go on.
So Brighton had made their third sub, 89th minute or something, and he went running past. He didn't come back out. Third sub had done, and he was done. He came running past the Leeds fans, unprovoked. Nobody even really noticed he was running past, and just went. He just started like laughing and going, "You lot are going down." And then
that's what he does.
He's a strange one, isn't he? Though
he was very strange, and everyone was like, "What?" Funny because like literally 45 seconds later we equalised. I'd have loved for him to still be in that ground when that goal went in. But yeah, just so unprovoked. He just ran past. He goes, "Ha ha ha! You lot are going down," and then ran off.
Strange little French man.
Strange individual.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I've got us. So that starts the card off. No, actually, Brownie's gone 1-1. So Brownie, you've got Leeds staying up.
Yeah.
Okay, by a point. Is that right?
Yeah, because goal difference doesn't matter.
Yeah, by 1 point. KG.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So far, well, actually, so far, KG's got Leeds staying up.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what the result is. KG can be doing whatever he wants while Leeds are playing, because if Burnley get beat in both games, it doesn't matter.
We're on the beach. We're on the beach as fans at this point.
Could you imagine? Exactly. Could you imagine Leeds getting battered like 4-0 and still staying up?
You'd be like angry, happy, wouldn't you? Like you just wouldn't know how to
imagine
react.
Like you heard the news that Newcastle were 3-0 up. Leeds fans would probably cheer the Brentford goals. They wouldn't be bothered.
Yeah.
I mean, Hannah, I think a lot of people are sort of.
Yeah, I can understand it too.
Everyone. I think Villa's the one, isn't it? I think everybody's a little bit nervous for. Anyway, KG, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to go with a draw against Brentford. I think everything's pointing towards a loss, but I think that it's unlikely. But yeah, I'm going to say a point. I'm going to go 1-1 with Brentford.
Okay, there you go. Both of them are above me in the score prediction table, which I've not been able to do this week, and you guys have pretty much done that anyway. And I've said that we're going to go down. Brownie said that we're going to stay up. KG said that we're going to stay up. So reliability wise, these two are your men. So there you go. Leeds are staying up. Don't say that too loud. But
like you say, Thursday night feels huge. It feels more important than.
Well, can I actually ask what you lads are going to do? I think I might have spoken to KG about it, but are you going to genuinely? This is an actual question. Are you going to watch the game, or are you going to take yourself? I might actually take myself away from it. I might just do something like I'm being dead serious. I might just go away and do something. I don't know if I can really. Yeah. Just tackle it head on. Yeah.
I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, and listen, if Burnley do lose both games, then we were right. 35 points did do the trick. So yeah,
it's all chilled. But guys, an hour and 30. I don't think it's been the longest one we've done, but we've had 1,000 people in here live. So thank you so much. The debrief is flying at the minute. Thank you once again for both of you joining me. It's another great episode. I've really enjoyed it. Thanks to everybody in the comment section below. Someone's just asked me, will I ever do watch-alongs? Honestly, mate, don't you do not. I've said this before. I said I can't do watch-alongs again. It's bad. But yeah, thank you.
Sorry, Connor, just before we go, and shout out to Trevor and Paul from the Leeds United West Midlands branch who absolutely loved the debrief. So shout out to them. They saw them at the game on Sunday. So
shout out Trevor. Shout out. And Trevor and Richard, did you say, KG?
Sorry?
Do you say Trevor and Richard? Sorry for
Trevor and Paul.
Paul. Shout out to
lads,
you guys.
The next debrief, we're either in the Championship.
Yeah, shut up. Shush, I don't care. Stop talking about it.
It's been a long season, but we're either going to be preparing for Chelsea, Tottenham and Arsenal, Liverpool and Man United and Man City, or Rotherham.
Or Huddersfield been in the league above us. But yeah, there you go. But yeah, make sure you check out KG's channel. Links in the description below. Loads of good Leeds United content on there. Brownie, your Twitter, anything going on there this week?
No, just a lot of people in agreement that the Newcastle we saw last night is what we want to see at Turf Moor.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can all agree with that. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in a bit. Cheers.